Hey guys, in this video we're going to be talking about SP Minnows. Now if you've been following people fishing on the canal, you've been watching some of the other videos on YouTube, you can tell this has been a pretty hot lure for the last couple of years, and one that I caught a ton of fish on this past season. Now whether you're fishing from shore in places like the Cape Cod Canal or those back bays, or using it to troll from a kayak, these things work absolutely great at pulling everything from schoolies up to some more decent sized fish. Over the course of this video, what we're going to be doing is not necessarily talking about colors and all the different sizes. We're going to be talking about how to rig those so that we get a nice presentation and also don't have to worry about losing some fish with the hardware that's on there. The lures in front of you today are some of my personal favorites in color. On the top left, you'll notice is that lovely bone color. This one's a great producer in the canal, one of my go-to colors. Below that is the black purple, or what is affectionately called the blurple color. This one is a killer nighttime lure. That nice reflection of that shadow on the surface. It's going to be great. You can see, we'll take a look at it later, but it fades nicely from purple to black. Killer nighttime plug. In the upper right, we've got the green matte color. This was one of the first colors that I bought. Caught tons of fish on it. Perfect color. Always carry one if I'm going to be throwing these from my bag. And below that, we have one that I tried out new for this year is actually the silver and purple color. And this thing did a great job. I followed some of the striper migration down in Maryland last year in Virginia. Caught a ton of fish on it. So that one's absolutely killer and one that's maybe not purchased as much. All right, so now we're going to talk about how you're going to rig these up so you get a little bit more substantial stopping power with your lure. Now, when you get your SP Minnow, this is the floating 6-inch size, and this one's actually in a sand eel color. And this is one I wanted to try out this year. I just figured with all the sand eels around last year, not that they're necessarily going to be keyed in on this color any more than another, but figured haven't tried this one yet, and it's kind of fun to just, as we know, extend your collection of lures. So when it comes out of the box, it's already rigged up with treble hooks here. You can fish it just the way it is, but one thing I've found from my fishing this year, and I've seen some other guys talking about on some blog posts and also other videos, is that these hooks that are here, if you get into some more decent fish, have a tendency sometimes to bend out. And the split rings that they have here are also on the tinier side, so we're going to upgrade those. So to start off, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and remove those stock hooks that are there. So we'll get this down to just a base plug. To make your life a little bit easier, what's going to help when you're removing these is to have just a couple extra tools. Player split ring pliers is absolutely key to make this go faster, and I like to have some needle nose to help pull that split ring off in the process. So let's start with the tail. Alright, so now what we're left with is just the bare lure itself. We've removed the hook from the waist, the tail, and also the split ring from the front. What we're going to do to modify this today is we're going to use Roscoe split rings, which are going to give a nice secure attachment here. This is the 5.5H size. And we're going to use our tried and true VMC treble hooks for this. Now, in this online, you'll see sometimes if you're reading this for the canal, you'll see guys talk about going up to the 3.0 size. I will do that for the lures. I know that I'm going to expressly use in the canal. I know that blurple one, I rigged that up with the 3.0. That's what I'm going to do. However, I intend to use this one some more of the back bays. I'm probably not going to necessarily need to go that big. Not going to be worried about pulling a fish out, especially in my kayak. So I'm going to put a 2.0 size on this one today. In case you're wondering at home and you don't want to go out and purchase a box of each of these, to show you guys to make just the size comparison, here is a VMC 2.0 size hook. And then here's that 3.0 next to it. So side by side, you can see that difference. All right. So the 3.0, much more substantial, great for when you're using the Cape Cod Canal. But for me and my kayak, I'm just going to use this tinier one. It'll be just a slightly bit more subtle for some of those finicky fish you'll find along the sod banks and back bays. So we're going to pull out two 2.0 VMC treble hooks, one for the waist and one for the tail. We'll grab ourselves 3 Roscoe split rings, one for the waist again, one for the tail, and then just for a little bit more action, I'm going to place one on the nose as well. And using our split ring pliers, we're going to put those on. Now, if you're new to split ring pliers or using split rings, these things are absolutely perfect. You use the plier, it pinches in nicely, and you can see it opens up a gap on your split ring, and that we can then attach to the small keeper here on the end of that eyelet. So I start it with the split ring plier, and then I like to go straight over to a pair of needle nose pliers to pull it through. This, of course, is the slower version. And then, since you already have that gap there, I like to use this as a time to apply my VMC hook. So I'm going to take this, place that eye right over the gap that's been started, and then you're ready to go. I've seen a lot of guys, sometimes they're rigging stuff up. and they'll go through and they'll attach a split ring, and then they'll have to reopen it and put this on. I find this makes it go just a little bit faster, and that's already on there. So I'll check in with you guys. Let's put the other split rings on here. All right, and with that, you have a perfectly rigged up SP Minnow that's ready to go. So side by side, you can see just the difference between those stock hooks. Here's that stock hook I just pulled off there with the teeny tiny split ring that's there. And then next to here's the VMC size hook. So you can see just a much larger size, a little bit more substantial power. And of course, these VMC hooks, they will rust out over time, but you know, a couple pennies a year if you hook into a nice size fish, I'd rather have this on the end. You can fish these, but you know, if you get into something nicer, it could be a little bit precarious. So for this, I'm going to upgrade mine to these VMCs. If you're brand new to fishing SP Minnows and you want to give it a try this season, as you know, you walk into any of your local tackle shops, you can check online, and you'll see there's tons of different colors, tons of different patterns for these. But let's say you just want to throw it for the first time. These 3 colors here in front of you, I think will cover you for most fishing applications here in the Northeast. Again, that blurple color on top, perfect nighttime lure, that's got you covered for that. If you're fishing a lot of stuff, and especially New England, that mackerel color does great. That silver, it's going to pick up mimic, even baits that aren't mackerel. It's going to do a great job with the silver. And below the bone colored, as we know from other lures, it's a nice producer. So if you were going to only buy 3, those would be a good 3 to start with. As you know, with lures, you can never have too many. All right, I hope this video was helpful. If you guys have any questions, please, drop a comment. And as always, if you like what you see here, please hit that subscribe button and also a like. Thank you so much for watching Aqua Base Outdoors.